Climate change is one of the biggest environmental challenges globally. One major consequence is sea level rise, which is driven by global warming, thermal expansion of seawater, melting glaciers, and polar ice sheets. Global sea levels have steadily risen over the past century. Malaysia, with over 4,800 km of coastline, is highly vulnerable. At risk, low-lying coastal areas include Selangor, Kelantan, Sabah, and Sarawak. Rising sea levels cause environmental and socio-economic issues, which is coastal erosion, flooding, saltwater intrusion, loss of agricultural land, and also infrastructure damage. Many coastal towns and economic activities are in low-lying areas, increasing.
Hazard identification is a crucial step in environmental risk assessment. It involves identifying and describing environmental hazards, their frequency, severity, and potential impacts. In our assessment, the key hazard is sea level rise, which is primarily caused by global warming. In Malaysia, this hazard poses a serious threat, especially to low-lying coastal area. Sea level rise lead to three major pathways of impact. First, coastal inundation, where rising water level cause flooding that damage home, infrastructure, and livelihoods. Second, saltwater intrusion, which contaminate freshwater supply and degraded soil, harming both public health and agriculture. And third, shoreline erosion, where rising sea and stronger wave gradually wear away the coast, causing land loss and economic damage. These pathways are interconnected, meaning one can trigger or worsen another, creating a cycle of escalating risk for coastal community. Exposure assessment is a key part of environmental risk assessment. It estimates how much, how often, and how long people or the environment are exposed to a hazard. In our case, the hazard is sea level rise, and the most exposed group in Malaysia is the coastal communities, especially in low-lying areas. The communities face exposure through three major pathways. First, coastal flooding and inundation destroy home and infrastructure. For example, in Kelantan, more than 24,000 residents in Kota Baru may face annual flooding by 2,100 due to rising sea levels. Second, saltwater intrusion affects water supply and agriculture. It changes soil composition, reduces crop productivity, and increases health risks like hypertension and maternal complications. Third, coastal erosion caused by rising seas and strong wave action wears away land. Areas like Pantai Tok Jempal in Terengganu and parts of Selangor are already experiencing significant erosion, leading to land loss and economic impact. Overall, sea level rise exposed coastal communities to ongoing environmental, health, and economic threats.
Effect assessment. So for the first effect assessment is environmental impacts, where sea level rise accelerates coastal erosion, which is because of loss of shoreline and land, especially in Kelantan and Selangor. It also relocation of families and damages to roads and schools. Other than that, loss of mangroves, where it weakens natural coastal defenses. Next is flooding and storm surges. It increased tidal flooding, king tides, and also storm surges. There were more frequent flash floods occurred during monsoon in Kuala Kedah and also Port Klang. These damages drainage systems, roads, homes, strained disaster response services. And next is economic and livelihood impacts, where it threatens fisheries, agriculture, and also tourism. These effects disrupted fish breeding, loss of farmland, and also damage to coastal attractions. Other than that, saltwater intrusion, where saltwater enters rivers, groundwater, and also agriculture fields. These impacts reduce drinking water supply, lowers crop yields, and also disrupts farming. And lastly, health and social issues, where it is higher risk of getting waterborne diseases like leptospirosis and also dengue. It also affects mental health challenges in displaced population. Other than that, it is limited access to clean water and also sanitation.
The year 2100 Malaysia faced significant sea level rise that threatened its coastal region in Peninsular Malaysia. Sea level are expected to rise between 0.25 and 0.5 meter, with the higher increase projected in low-lying state of Kelantan and Kedah. Sabah. Sabah, particularly in eastern low-lying areas, could see a more dramatic rise, changing from 0.69 to 1.0.6 meter. Meanwhile, Sarawak Southwest coastal area are expected to experience a rise between 0.43 and 0.64. The damage or loss of vital coastal ecosystems such as mangrove and coral reefs significantly increase the risk faced by Malaysia coastal community. This loss lead to more frequent and severe flooding and accelerate coastal erosion. Rising sea level intensify this threat by flooding homes, roads and public infrastructure. Coastal erosion wasn't causing land and property loss. Saltwater intrusion into freshwater source threaten drinking water supply and agricultural productivity, putting food security at risk. At the same time, extreme weather events like storm, heavy rainfall are becoming more frequent. This event cause flash flood and add further stress to vulnerable community. This assessment revealed that a 1 meter rise in sea level could flood 4 to 10% at some east coast cities, including Kota Baru and Kuantan. Areas such as Terengganu are especially vulnerable due to ongoing erosion and direct exposure to the sea. To address this challenge, Malaysia has implemented a range of adaptation measures, structural solutions like seawall and flood barrier help protect coastal areas. Nature-based solutions focus on restoring mangrove and wetland to act as temporary buffer against storm and erosion. Yearly warning system and improved flood management plans enchant community preparedness for the most at-risk population. Resettlement programs are also being considered. The government has committed significant resources to this effort, allocating 5 billion in recent national plan for coastal.
I'll be explaining about the mitigation and management measures for sea level rise in Malaysia. First is mangrove restoration. The restoration efforts includes government initiatives such as replanting and NCES guidelines. Next is community and NGO actions such as tree planting and monitoring. And for example is Matang Mangrove Forest. The next mitigation and management measure is integrated coastal zone management, such as data-driven planning and land use zoning, stakeholder participations and institutional coordinations, ecosystem-based methods such as mangrove protection. And the last mitigation measure is coastal defense. Combine hard structure with nature-based solutions such as mangroves, hybrid methods such as seawalls, beach nourishment and mangrove belts, and regular monitoring or maintenance, and upgrade the essentials.
Okay, next, I will explain about the regulatory and policy frameworks. Malaysia's key climate policies include NPCC, which is National Policy on Climate Change 2009, which is focused on adaptation in sectors like agriculture and coastal infrastructure. Next is Integrated Shoreline Management Plan, ISMP, oversees erosion control, shoreline zoning, and eco-friendly solution. Next, Draft National Adaptation Plan (NAP), which is in progress, and this aims to assess coastal risk and improve disaster planning. And the last one, ASEAN Coastal Resilience 2024, encourage shared regional strategies such as coastal barriers, population relocation, and using geospatial tools, which is Climate Central. Despite of these policies, we also derive some key challenge, which is number one, poor coordination between federal, state, and also local agency. Sea level rise projections are often missing in the IA reports, and last one, coastal communities struggle to adapt due to the weak local implementation. So, the recommendation to overcome this key challenge, number one is make sea level rise modeling mandatory in all coastal EIA reports, enforce stricter buffer zones, especially in the erosion hotspot, and create legally backed community adaptation plan. So for the conclusion, The sea level rise has huge impacts toward the coastal communities. Due to the increase in global warming, the rise of the sea level will also continue day by day if action is not be taken. Therefore, the mitigation measures need to be implemented as soon as possible to avoid the problem in the coastal area keep affecting the communities. Moreover, the action by the government also need to be ensured that all the mitigation measures to protect the coastal area from the impacts of the sea level rise is being done.